One evening on the live stream, as the comments drifted by, Lee spotted Mark and Betty's avatar, and it really caught his eye. He pointed at the little face, and his smile grew nice and big. He said, "Now look at that. There's a cute little pig." Betty, sweet Betty, is not a pig. Poorly couldn't tell because the picture's not big. That Betty, sweet Betty, is not a pig. So now we all know, and we'll sing it nice and big. Betty, sweet Betty, is not a pig. Betty's human laughed and said, "No, Lee, she's a dog, can't you see?" Well, that's all it took for us to laugh gleefully. Poor Betty was traumatized, or so the story goes. Now every time her picture pops, the whole chat always knows. Betty, sweet Betty, is not a pig. Poorly couldn't tell because the picture's not big. That Betty, sweet Betty, is not a pig. So now we all know, and we'll sing it nice and big. Betty, sweet Betty, is not a pig. Is not a pig. Poorly couldn't tell because the picture's not big. That Betty, sweet Betty, is not a pig. So now we all know, and we'll sing it nice and big. Hey! Betty, sweet Betty, is not a pig.
Some bacon rind before you know it, he's gone. He's so streamlined. Murphy, he's a magical teleporting dog. It's Murphy, he's a cute and curly golden demigod. Traveling the universe through space and time. He's a magical teleporting dog. It's Murphy. She's a cute and curly golden demigod. You're such a good dog. You're such a good dog.
All right, good afternoon. Well, evening. I think it's mostly evening for most of us. And some of you, it's morning. Shit, it's an international audience. Thank you for joining us on another Crimes After Dark or Crimes in the Bright Daylight if it's daytime for you somewhere in the world. Thank you for joining us on a Monday night, which also could be a Tuesday, depending on where you're in the world. Anyways, you get the theme. I got a panel backstage. I got one. I've got Robin, and we're going to talk about some things peripherally related to the biggest case that we follow. And I'm going to tell you some little updates about some other cases that we're looking at, some old ones and some kind of current ones and other things that's going on. So without further ado, let's get Robin on, co-producer of the show. How are you doing?
Hello. I'm doing well. How about yourself?
Well, I bit the hell out of my cheek, so I'm still trying to see if I can talk right without slurring. Yeah.
You're supposed to eat food, not your cheek.
I do it. I do it a lot. Bite the hell. Oh my gosh, just like totally clamped down. Anyways, how are things going with you? And living the dream?
Yep. Well, you're living a dream, living high on life and all that good shit.
Living large.
Yeah.
Well, very cool. Let's bring up one as well. We haven't been able to see him for a while on camera. How you doing?
Hello.
Living La Vida Loca.
Yeah. See, everything in my head's a song. Yeah. So, anyways, good to see you again. It's been when is the last time you were on the show? It seems like
Tuesday.
Was it Tuesday of last
week.
I think I hopped in on Friday night. Thursday or Friday, I hopped in.
Yeah.
I took a smoke break at work on the
on
the roof.
Shit.
When
somebody broke their tooth last night. Holy shit! I thought I was biting my cheek. That's
been
no
there,
joke.
done that.
Stop biting. Stop chewing those frozen sausages.
When are you gonna tell your employers to stop jerking your schedule around?
Yeah. I cannot wait till I get something like
something.
We did get a new captain assigned, I heard.
Yeah.
So, but we'll see. Yeah. So I have a big interview coming up on Thursday. We will see. I had to reschedule this damn interview like 3 times because we're getting closer to like Labor Day, and so we have the West Indy Day parade coming up. We have all kinds of things happening at the end of the summer. So they have all these mandatory meetings. Like, you have to be at this meeting. It's like, great. So then I have to tell, this chief that's nice enough to have me come in, wants to interview me for another position. I can't come because I have this mandatory meeting, and
they know that though. They can.
Yeah, he knows. He keeps moving the meeting though too. So hopefully it'll just happen this time, and
wow,
that'll be good.
Well, yeah, and hopefully when hope you get a position that'll allow you some more stability to the schedule. And not double shifts and rotating shifts and wherever they need you next.
And they're double, and their double shift is sometimes like 20 hours or 24 hours.
Doesn't that seem like inherently unsafe? That just seems like inherently unsafe.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well,
I don't know. Well, for what it's worth, I believe you probably have a monologue for us, right?
I do have a monologue. Sure. So, is it good to be alive in the den on a Monday night?
Yeah.
Jackson, Juliana, my beautiful wife. Love you guys always. So tonight's title is When DNA Becomes the Witness. Tonight we begin with something microscopic, something invisible, something powerful enough to put a person behind prison walls for years. DNA. We think of DNA as the witness that never lies. People forget. Witnesses misremember. Investigators make mistakes. But DNA enters a courtroom carrying the weight of science and certainty. So tonight we ask a harder question. What if the DNA itself doesn't lie, but the people interpreting it can be wrong? Because tonight's story begins with Alexis Rodriguez. And from Staten Island, New York, it leads us straight towards another case where DNA became one of the most important pieces of evidence in the entire investigation. Obviously, the Idaho Four murders. In January 2010, a 22-year-old woman was attacked while walking to work on Staten Island. She fought her attacker and escaped. Later, investigators collected her scarf and gloves, hoping the clothing might contain biological evidence. Tiny amounts of DNA were recovered. Eventually, that DNA pointed investigators towards Alexis Rodriguez. But there were problems. The victim had described her attacker as a Hispanic man around 5'5". Rodriguez was over 6 feet tall. And when she later viewed a lineup, she did not identify him. Still, the DNA became the centerpiece of the case. The samples recovered from the woman's gloves contained mixtures from multiple people and extremely small amounts of genetic material. One laboratory report indicated Rodriguez could be the source of part of the DNA. But at trial, the language became much stronger. The jury was told Rodriguez was the source. Think about the difference between those phrases. Could be, was. A few words. But in a courtroom, a few words can carry the weight of a prison sentence. Rodriguez was convicted in 2014 and sentenced to 15 years. He served approximately 7.5. Years later, outside experts began looking more closely at the DNA evidence. Questions emerged about the tiny quantities tested, the complicated mixtures, the statistical interpretation, and whether Rodriguez's defense attorney had adequately challenged the science. In 2021, his conviction was overturned. Prosecutors eventually dismissed the case. Now, in 2026, Rodriguez has filed a federal lawsuit accusing New York City laboratory analysts of manipulating and fabricating DNA evidence. Those allegations remain unproven, but they raise a disturbing question. How much faith should a courtroom place in forensic science when the science must still pass through human hands? Because evidence doesn't collect itself. People collect it. People package it. People test it. People interpret it. People write the reports. And people explain those conclusions to juries. And that brings us to Moscow, Idaho. November 13th, 2022. Kaylee Gonzalez, Madison Mogan, Xana Kernodal, Ethan Chapin. 4 young lives lost inside 1122 King Road. And inside that house, investigators recovered an object that would become one of the most recognizable pieces of evidence in modern true crime. A knife sheath on the button snap, DNA. That DNA would eventually be connected to Bryan Kohberger. Now let's make something absolutely clear. Alexis Rodriguez is not Bryan Kohberger. These cases are not scientifically identical. The evidence is different. The circumstances are different. The investigations are different. And Kohberger ultimately pled guilty in 2025 to murdering all 4 students and received 4 consecutive life sentences. Those distinctions matter. But Rodriguez's case still gives us an important lens through which to examine Idaho. Not because his story proves anything about Kohberger's guilt or innocence, it doesn't. But because it reminds us that scientific evidence should never become immune from scrutiny simply because it sounds scientific. In Idaho, the questions surrounding DNA are different. How was the sheath collected? Who handled it? How was it packaged and transported? What testing was performed? What laboratory controls were used? And perhaps most importantly, what exactly can the DNA tell us? And what can it not tell us? The DNA may tell investigators whose biological material is present, but DNA alone does not always tell us exactly when it arrived. It does not automatically explain how it arrived, and it does not eliminate the need to examine every other piece of evidence surrounding it. That does not make DNA weak evidence. Far from it. DNA is one of the most powerful forensic tools ever created. But powerful evidence deserves powerful scrutiny, because when evidence becomes so convincing that nobody feels permitted to question it, science can quietly begin to look like certainty. And that is the haunting lesson from Alexis Rodriguez. The victim deserves justice, but justice does not mean simply finding someone to punish. Justice means finding the right person through evidence capable of surviving the hardest questions we can ask. Because when the system gets it wrong, there can be two victims: the person who suffered the original crime and the person who incorrectly convicted for it. That is why laboratory procedures matter. That is why chain of custody matters. That is why defense experts matter. And that is why could be and was can never casually become interchangeable. Tonight, we're putting DNA under the microscope, not just the molecules, the people, the laboratories, the reports, the testimony, and everything that happens between the crime scene and the courtroom. Because sometimes the most dangerous evidence isn't evidence that disappeared. Sometimes it's evidence considered so powerful that nobody thinks they're allowed to question it. Welcome to Crimes After Dark. Question everything, follow the evidence, because the devil is always in the details. And with that, live from New York, it's Monday night.
All righty. Well, so what I would like to do is I would like to show people the New York Times article that one was talking about, and I want to read large portions of it and talk about the connection points. By the way, as an aside, maybe it's just me, but I see connection points between this case and other cases that I follow as well. Like the Manson case, unbelievably, there's crazy shit that is so much like the Idaho 4 case now that I'm looking at it again. And so anyways, for those real quick, just briefly, I just wanted to share with you in case you didn't know about it. Some people were talking about seeing this. I'll just be kind of brief with this. This morning, I believe, I had this episode of the Manson story. This is the book by Chaos that I'm covering. I'm doing a book review chapter by chapter on that. So that came out this morning. Tomorrow morning, you got another chapter of the book review, The Devil at His Elbow on the Alec Murdaugh case. That's got crazy stuff. And if you want something even really weirder, we get into the Bush family and CIA connections to 9/11. That's a crazy thing you won't hear on this channel. But if you want to hear that kind of stuff on the other channel, check out those book series. They're great stuff to listen to when you're in a car and because you don't need to really see anything. I walk you through it. And it's been really well received by the people who listen to it and watch it. So I hope that you'll give it a shot as well. So what I want to do now, though, is put on screen a giant ad. Look at that giant blank space for an ad. Anyways, this is from the, yeah, that's awesome. This is the New York Times. I just wanted you to see that it was the New York Times at the top. Fortunately, I'm not completely killed behind a paywall, so there's that. Sometimes we have to pay for these things. But again, I'm gonna read pretty much the whole article, but I have some highlighted things that I want to just accentuate for you. This is again about a man who was wrongfully convicted of attempted rape and suing the DNA analysts. And this is one of the things you hear me bitch about on this channel all the time. Juries are not qualified to understand the science. So what happens is a scientist gets on the stand and says, look, this is just science. You can't argue with science. If you follow the science, this person's guilty. The science says so. And juries buy that all the time. So we're convicting people by science. But what happens when the scientists lie or only tell part of the truth and then give you a number like octillion, billion, trillion times likely to be nobody but this person? And a jury goes, well, fuck, if the science says that's it, that must be it. What if they lied about it, though? What if they misled you on it?
Blinded me with science. Sorry.
No, that's great. So Alexis Rodriguez, again, claims technicians at the New York City Medical Examiner's Office fabricated, created out of nothing DNA evidence leading to the wrongful conviction in 2014 for attempted rape. And you need to listen to the details because this kind of shit, what was the other case? Was it Texas? There was another, or Colorado. It was Colorado. We just had another DNA analyst busted for falsifying DNA in all kinds of cases and putting
Yes.
people behind bars by lying. This analyst, same thing, putting people behind bars, lying about the evidence to convince a jury that the DNA is stronger than it is, because that's the way they want it to go down. And thank you very much for Maggie, who gave a let him cook. Thank you so much for that donation. Appreciate that very much. Yeah, this is, you need to listen. This is not isolated. This is not an isolated thing. It happens all the time. The lawsuit comes more than a decade after the New York City Medical Examiner's Office launched an internal, listen carefully. This lawsuit is after a decade of investigating a medical examiner who's lying and falsifying about DNA. Why does it take a year or 10 years? Why does it take a decade? Why does it take 10 years to get to the bottom of somebody's been faking DNA? How many people sit in jail for another 10 years while they look into, well, we're doing an investigation. Does your fucking investigation need to take 10 years while people are languishing in jail for shit? It's insane. That part makes me mad right off the bat.
What? Why aren't they? There should have to be a certain percentage that DNA has to be in order for it to be viable in a court case.
Right. There should be, but they lie about shit. And this is going to come up in the Koberger case. This case revolves around a piece of DNA too small to properly do analysis. So what do? They just fabricated. What happened in the Koberger case? We don't understand how you doubled the size of the SNP, the SMP. How did you double it? Well, we don't have to show you that. We don't have to prove anything. We're just going to take the tiny sample that was too small to do shit with and just increase its size until we get a number that we do like, which is kind of what happened here in layman's terms. So this was just published recently, updated again today. And some of this is going to be a repeat, but I want to read it so you can get it in its entirety. On a cold January morning, 2010, a 22-year-old woman was walking to work on Staten Island when a man grabbed her from behind, pulled her scarf across her face, and yanked her to the ground by the roadside. The attacker started rubbing her thighs and tried to force her jacket open, but she managed to escape his grasp. Later that day, she provided the police with her scarf and gloves, hoping that evidence could be extracted from them to help identify the assailant. In this case, they didn't solve it in real time like Othram Labs, our savior, but they did get there. So here we go. Scientist at the New York State Medical Examiner's Office, a leader in developing forensics methods to crack America's most difficult case. So look, this is a leader in DNA evidence. That's important. These are the people who are leading. We're gonna solve cases with DNA. They poured over the evidence in the case and were able to pull small amounts of DNA from her clothing. After more than a year, the office reported a breakthrough. Alexis Rodriguez, a 26-year-old man who had been arrested in connection with an unrelated burglary, happened to be a match for that DNA. We found somebody we can match to the DNA. Mr. Rodriguez was found guilty of attempted rape in 2014 and sentenced to 15 years in prison. But in 2021, a judge overturned the conviction, finding that Mr. Rodriguez had received inadequate counsel. Ineffective assistance. That doesn't happen. Every criminal says that his lawyer's ineffective. What a bunch of losers. Every criminal says this. It can't possibly be true. Well, this guy had his conviction overturned because of ineffective assistance of counsel. Why? Specifically, his lawyer had failed to properly challenge DNA evidence. Oh, I don't know. Is there another case in which a lawyer may not have properly challenged DNA evidence? I can't think of a single one. Can you guys?
Right.
No.
a move that could have exonerated his client. What did Turvey say? There's DNA evidence that can exonerate your client. Oh, we're not going to look at that. We don't fucking need to look at that. Stay in your lane, Mr. Turvey. We're not going to look at DNA evidence that could exonerate our client. Well, some people have their convictions overturned for a little shit like that. Now, Mr. Rodriguez, 42 years old, is suing the city and the lab analyst who worked on his case, accusing the analyst of fabricating evidence. His current lawyer, Zachary Margulis Uma, I fucking don't even know, said it was the first. I suck at pronunciation sometimes. Pronunciation. Anyways, said it was the first time that anyone from the medical examiner's office had been sued for DNA analysis leading to a wrongful conviction. Mr. Rodriguez's suit claims that the evidence was fabricated as part of an established practice It's their practice to fabricate evidence when they don't have a strong enough case. We'll just make the shit up. It's our practice. Look, business is good. Just make that shit up. Their established practice at medical examiners' offices in which analysts often use DNA samples that are too small and complex to be reliable, and conflicting interpretations of the data are pushed aside. It's their standard practice that when you've got too small of a sample, you'll just make some shit up, ignore anybody in your office who disagrees with your findings, and continue on with the prosecution.
It's disgusting.
It is disgusting. And the flawed results were then presented to law enforcement agencies and juries as evidence of their guilt, according to the lawsuit. Now, listen, one can argue even the law enforcement agencies aren't to blame here. They're being lied to by the scientists. Dude, this is it. This is the guy. We disproved it through science. Okay, then we'll go do an arrest. We'll prosecute and we'll convict that motherfucker because you told us the science is good. But what if the science is bullshit?
Yeah. And then you've got these companies like Othram. So how much are they fabricating?
Yeah.
Yeah. The suit, which was filed in the Florida District Court in Brooklyn on Wednesday, comes more than a decade after the medical examiner's office launched an internal investigation into whether it had mishandled DNA evidence in hundreds of rape cases. And again, I ask you, why the fuck does it take a decade to do the investigation while hundreds of rape cases and people are sitting in jail for rapes that they may not have done because it's taking you over a decade to investigate it? A subsequent report, and by the way, the investigation might not be done. As far as I know, the investigation's still not over. This isn't even about the investigation. This is about somebody filing for wrongful conviction because of DNA evidence, because he found out there was an investigation about the fuckery. I don't even know if they're done with the investigation. A subsequent report from maybe they are actually. Is it in here that they finished the investigation and somebody got fired? I think maybe we'll get to it. A subsequent report from the state inspector general found a troubling pattern of errors. It's their practice. It's a pattern. Disputes among lab analysts were papered over, and technicians often presented subjective or flawed interpretations as scientific findings to prosecutors and defense lawyers. Yeah. Your client is going down because the science says so. And the defense lawyer goes, okay, well, shit, I guess we're fucked. The prosecutor, they're going down because the science says he's guilty. Fantastic. We're going to win this motherfucking case. And it's all a lie.
Unreal. It's unreal.
Yeah. Anymore, if I was a defense attorney, every time DNA came up, I'd challenge it.
Yeah, for sure.
You have
Julie Bolger, a spokesman for the medical examiner's office, said that it operates in accordance with the best practices and stands by its science produced by its experts who staff it. That is the typical head of a department who says, we do nothing wrong. We follow our scientific principles of the whole industry. And yeah, I would question the whole industry is fucked. That's my whole thing. You're right. You may indeed follow the industry practice, and the industry practice is to lie and deceive and manipulate data that's not there, paper over shit, and say what you want the conclusion to be. That's the practice, probably of the whole country, I would argue. At the time of the attack, the 22-year-old woman, in 2010. Mr. Rodriguez was working as a maintenance worker at a YMCA on Staten Island. He said in an interview, in May of the following year, he was arrested in connection with a burglary, and his DNA was then entered into the database. And listen, this is like another case. We've got some DNA left at a crime scene in Idaho. It's on a knife sheath. It's too small to do anything with. Then we find out who we want for it, and we do scientific stuff, and we voila, it matches the person that we want to this. The DNA that was too small on this item now matches who we now know. We already know who we want, so now that we've got them, it matches. Praise Jesus. The medical examiner's office, according to the lawsuit, then significantly altered the DNA profile of the attacker to match the known profile that had been entered into national, state, or local databases. So once they know who they want, hey, we suspect it's this guy, they'll just make it match, essentially. According to the lawsuit, Teresa Carrageen, again, these names are horrible for me, a senior scientist at the lab, and Craig O'Connor, I can pronounce that one, an analyst, changed the results from DNA testing so that they would more closely match Rodriguez's profile. They altered the results to match the guy that hey, we think it could be this guy. We just got this guy. So we'll just go ahead and change the results to make it more closely match. And then we'll say, we're going to take this shit to the jury and we're going to tell them it's his DNA. We had to alter some shit, but we got there. We'll just double the snip. We'll do whatever we need. We know who we want for it. So we'll just make it say so. Dr. Carrageen and Dr. O'Connor, doctors, are both named as defendants in the lawsuit. Dr. Carrageen did not respond to a request for comment, and the medical examiner's office declined to make Dr. O'Connor, now its director of forensic biology, available for an interview. The director of this scientific lab is
annoys
under
me.
fire.
It annoys me, and it's not even, of course, he has every right to whatever lawsuit, but this should be, severe criminal charges.
Yeah.
Not just a lawsuit. It should be a lot worse.
Yeah, criminal charges. Correct.
Yeah.
I agree. In August of 2012, Mr. Rodriguez was arrested and charged with attempted rape, and the DNA was the only evidence that linked him to the attack. The victim did not identify Mr. Rodriguez as her attacker during a lineup. In an interview the day after the attack, according to the lawsuit, the woman identified her attacker as a Hispanic man who was 5'5", but Mr. Rodriguez is more than 6 feet tall. So it doesn't match the description, other than he's Hispanic. Oh my God, it must be a match. They're both Hispanics. A jury on Staten Island convicted a jury because, the jury is just told, it's the science, man. Just follow the science. We're telling you. That they probably gave that jury a ridiculous number. Octillion times more likely to be Rodriguez than anybody else. And they went, fuck, that's good enough for me. If science is that fucking accurate, that it's octillion times more likely to be that guy than anybody else, he must be guilty. Convicted. Go to jail. 7 years of his 15-year sentence. So he was, a jury convicted him, which also included attempted kidnapping and criminal possession of a weapon. Around that time, Dr. Carrageen was handling Mr. Rodriguez's case. Her work came under scrutiny. She resigned in April 2013 from the medical examiner's office after the state inspector general's investigation found that she was ignoring lab protocols, including rewriting reports whose findings she disagreed with. Well, I don't like that you didn't convict that person, so I'll just rewrite that fucking report. Eventually, she got fired. But how many times do they not get fired when they just rewrite shit to be whatever they want it to be?
I don't understand how that is not criminal. I don't understand.
It is.
It is,
criminal.
But she won't get charged with anything.
Oh yeah,
they fired her, so they consider
get fired.
It's criminal, and the thing that's also alarming, I know, when you're not in anyone else's shoes, so it's hard. It's easy to pass judgment and say what we would do, whatever. But it bothers me that this went on for this long, and other people knew that reports were being changed. And why didn't someone do something? Stand up for what's right and do something. Say something.
How many cowards do we have in this country that won't stand up when you see that kind of fuckery? The circumstances of Dr. Carrageen's resignation, according to the lawsuit, were never disclosed to Mr. Rodriguez's lawyers. So they knew this lab had a habit of falsifying reports, fired somebody during an investigation, but didn't tell his lawyers that this lab that convicted him with the science was their practice was to do that kind of shit. Wow. Mr. Rodriguez wound up serving 7.5 years in prison, including stints at Attica and Otisville correctional facilities in New York. How horrible had that man's life maybe have been inside prison? How many times did he suffer on top of not just having his freedom to do anything, but what kind of things could have happened if he didn't do it? Now, I don't know if he did or he didn't. All I'm saying is the DNA probably wasn't good enough to convict him. And so if he didn't do it, how horrible is it to spend 7.5 years of your life as a convicted rapist?
This is a perfect example of, does the end justify the means? No.
Right. So he now lives in Orlando, Florida, where he provides transportation to older people. In an interview, Mr. Rodriguez said he hoped to bring attention to more instances of people being convicted on the basis of mishandled evidence. So that's basically it. But this is just the second story this year of labs that convict people in potentially hundreds of cases when they're falsifying information. Lee, it's like saying because me and you put on exact same ornament on our Christmas tree, we must be the same. Right? It's like that kind of, it's like that. It's like that. It's horrendous to me.
Yeah.
The problem that we have in this country. And it's and the science is the worst. I swear, I understand they're well-meaning, and I don't mean this as bluntly as I'm going to say, but I want to punch people in the face when they say, I just follow the science, man. Fuck off. The science lies. The statistics lie.
Yeah.
The numbers are manipulated by the people who have an agenda to say.
Exactly.
And I'm not saying there isn't science. I'm not saying science isn't important. What I'm saying is don't come at me with, I know the guy's guilty because I just follow the science. When all the time, the science is manipulated.
If it's done and used how it should be, it's a great tool that should be used. But it's the interpretation that's, oh, let's just manipulate it a little bit more, it's not good.
It's interesting. It's interesting in a way that we haven't got to the place in this country where, like many places, I don't know who doesn't do this, but many places, lie detectors are not admissible in court. Now you can use a lie detector if somebody volunteers to take a lie detector test, and I understand the logic. So if you volunteer to use it and we detect a lie, then maybe it helps investigators or detectives determine whether they're being truthful or not. And maybe that'll help them get a new lead. But if they can't use it in a court of law, why isn't DNA the same way? You could use DNA to give you a tip. I think it's this guy because the DNA seems to point to him. However, I can't present that to a jury and say to a jury, absolutely, this guy did it because his DNA was at the crime scene. You got to build your case on something else. Just like you can't use the lie detector test, you shouldn't be able to use the DNA when the science is not proof.
Right.
And exactly. And it, like it appears, so we get like further info. I mean, it seems like that's exactly what happened in Idaho 4. It seemed like, it was a tip was given. Like, you may have the right guy here. This is, but it's a tip. You can't use this. And then everything gets changed and manipulated. Like even to the effect of, vehicles, that don't have fog lights and do have it's like insane, right?
Yeah.
The level of manipulation of stuff is like on another level. It's on another level. Like,
and like you said with the tip thing, it would have been maybe okay if they said, look, we think it's this guy, his DNA, this comes back to this guy's DNA, but you can only use it as a tip. So now go prove your case. You know who to kind of look for. And if they can then find proof that he was in the house, like Ray. Oh my God, side tangent. I just heard a TikToker. I don't even know why I jumped on TikTok. I jump on TikTok to look at titties and kitties. That's all I go on the TikTok to look at, right? But the point being is that somebody started out a video on TikTok. We now know Brian Koberger was in the house multiple times. And then later in the video, it says, Ray tells us Brian Koberger was in the house before. And I'm like, oh my God, you do not know Brian Koberger was in the house because Ray said it doesn't make it so. He didn't go on the stand.
Yeah.
He didn't testify under oath that Brian Koberger was on the couch. He said it in an informal interview where anybody can say anything they want because there's no trial. And now you're saying we now know Brian Koberger was in the house.
Actuality, and to add to that, in actuality, his official report that got filed under, penalty of perjury or whatever they would go after him with. He said there's no connection to any victim. So what? So
how can he say that and then say, well, Brian Koberger was stalking Maddie and he was in the house multiple times? It's again.
Well, right. Well, this is why.
Right. Well,
exactly. This is why. I know he's trying to be, I guess, as cordial and not like go off the rails, but this is why Harsh is having a big, I guess he has, he's emailing back and forth with Cy, and Cy's like, and Harsh is like,
doubling down. He's doubling,
and Harsh he's basically saying, he's like, I know you're busy and I'm busy and whatever, and Cy's like, no, like, what do you mean like about this and that? And
it's far worse.
He's
than
kind of like spelling out. What do we mean? You did 180 degree flip. What are you talking about?
Yeah, and all Ray does is double and triple down and say, "Oh yeah, when I made any statement before, I didn't know all the facts, but now that I know it, it's far worse than you think." Brian, we not only do we have him there, I've got him on the couch in the house multiple times.
Yeah.
You know, following the girls and crossing paths with all the things I said happened. I now know differently, and it's way worse than you think. Really? Now you're going to say that? Now that the trial's over and he pled guilty and you can say whatever you want because there's no trial. Like, is he banking on the fact that it's not going to go back to trial so he can just keep saying whatever he wants? Convict in the court of public opinion. Keep telling people you can make up whatever you want. Why don't you go all in? Why don't you say that the girls took photos with him before he slaughtered them and you got the photos and you've seen them, but you can't show them to it? Oh, just tell us whatever you want.
Yeah.
Whatever you want. Right. It's not going to be a trial.
Exactly.
So make up what you want. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And there are lots of people who are just making video after video about, we now know Brian Kohberger, after all these years, we now know Brian Kohberger was in the house multiple times, stalking the girls, all the things that the prosecutor said they can't prove. We don't know how he had a connection with the girls. We have nothing that we really tried to make a connection, couldn't find one. Again, the prosecutor apparently has no idea how to prosecute his own case because everyone else in law enforcement knows Brian Kohberger was in the house multiple times on the couch, hanging out with the girls and following everywhere. But the prosecutor couldn't figure it out. It's bullshit. It's bullshit.
Yep.
The whole thing's bullshit, but people are buying it. I still have people in my face about it because, why do you keep telling lies like Brian Kohberger wasn't there? You know he was in the house. No, it wasn't. You don't know shit. Anyways, the DNA case, I thank you, one for finding that.
Yeah.
The DNA thing was.
Yeah, it popped up in a Facebook feed. And I was like, whoa, what is it? What is this? And I'm like, this sounds interesting.
Yaw News, we do see your comments. I haven't read them all, I guess, because I didn't see what your Ray is the system's best example of systemic corruption. Yeah, I agree.
And I'll tell you, because me being, I guess whatever, he said he did 20 years in law enforcement.
Yeah.
So me being law enforcement, I'm allowed to comment on him. I can do that. And even not even talking about Idaho 4, even his, like every other line he says out of his mouth, he contradicts himself. He makes this whole big thing about the his big, like, getting into the case and all that. It's whether he believes BK is guilty, but it's how they got to him and things that they did. And he talks all this stuff about, well, the end can't justify the means. And then he talks about how when he did undercover work as a law enforcement, and they kind of would like plant evidence in a car, or they do all kinds of shady stuff. So you as working as law enforcement, upholding the law, you did the opposite of that. The ends did justify the means. So for that, it was okay. But now, because you want to sound all high and mighty on a podcast or whatever, and it sounds good. No, it's not good. It's like Ray is the savior of.
Yeah, it's funny because we said the other day, and I don't know this is true, so I'm going to be careful when I say it again. But when Hitler said after the Dateline NBC leak, where he blew up, and he's like, after the Dateline NBC episode, it is clear that somebody is violating the gag order and has spoken to the media, Dateline NBC, and I suspect it's somebody currently or formerly in law enforcement. And then people said that it may have come from the defense's side. The things that make sense now are the law enforcement officer, Ray, who refers to himself constantly as we in law enforcement, who went and planted him on this defense's team. I bet you that's where it probably came from. Like, how would you not why would you not assume that might be exactly how a former law enforcement person associated with the defense team is the one that leaked the Dateline NBC about crazy shit that we found out new things that we've never heard before. Kohberger got so exhausted that he sat down on a chair and left his butt print on a chair. that was in the Dateline episode. I'm not even making that up. That was in the Dateline episode.
I know.
Who the fuck told him that? Some law enforcement insider working with the defense, maybe? I don't know. Makes you wonder. It makes me wonder. I don't know. So I'm as baffled by and here's the thing. I'm frustrated. Just as I mean, we can take questions from the audience. We can bring somebody up on stage if you want. But one of the things, like I said, is when I was reading another chapter of the Manson case today because I was reading the book Chaos. And one of the things that came up was this comment, and it was very much like Idaho 4 in some ways. There's a chapter in Chaos where they're suggesting that Manson may have had the FBI protecting him whenever Los Angeles LAPD or Los Angeles Sheriff's Office would pick up Manson for possible murders, illegal firearms, drugs on his property, underage girls on his property. They picked him up multiple times. He was involved in possible other murders, like Hinman and stuff like that. And every time they'd let him go again. And someone started to say, I believe Manson has somebody in the FBI that's protecting him. And then they started to weave this narrative about the Black Panthers and whether Manson knew something and whether or not the FBI, and they even asked somebody in the LA Sheriff's Office if Manson had somebody that if he was a confidential informant of some kind, an asset for the FBI, could that have happened? And they said, technically, yes. If Manson was working, if he was an informant, if he was an informant for the FBI and the FBI called the sheriff's office and said, let him go, he's one of our informants, they would let him go. And nobody would know about it because that would come from on high from the FBI. And then the author said, well, why would they do that unless it was oops, our informant just killed a bunch of people. And I thought to myself, doesn't that sound like, again, if somebody does an oh shit, somebody that you have as an informant blows something and people get killed, do you want your name attached to it to say, hey, we let somebody who is an informant of ours go kill somebody or whatever? You don't want that wrapped to you. So it makes me wonder, like, how often could this happen where the embarrassment of something that happened because you let somebody walk on some other charge or whatever goes and kills somebody, and then you have to be like, well, shit, we can't let everybody know that that's been one of our guys, right? So could anything like that have happened in Idaho? You have, I mean, there's talk about confidential informants. I've said before, I think the cops were watching that house. If they were watching that house because they had an informant and then all shit broke loose and people got murdered, are they wanting their name on it? Fuck no. They want no part of their name on it that they let that thing happen, whether it was an accident or not.
Right.
So anyways, what are we looking for? Questions, comments? Got anything to pin on the screen for us to talk about?
Let's see.
Hank Green's wife, the fact that they pulled BK's family tree based on a single codon and his he's in jail right now is fucking beyond me right now. Lee, can we pull up the labs they ran on BK or anything that we can get on that? No. So here's the thing. Did you know, you probably do know this, did you know that when someone went to Othram Labs to find out the mysterious 4 brothers who they used to identify the 4 brothers and climb up the family tree and over and back down to Koberger, they said they no longer have the names of the 4 brothers. It's been lost.
It's all
Can
gone.
you believe that shit? They literally don't even have the names of the people who are the 4 brothers that ultimately led them to Koberger. Trust me, bro.
I think is a lie.
I think it's a lie too. I think
there's a lot of lies. A lot of lies going on.
Yeah. Anything else? Comments, questions, concerns?
Well,
some people have. Look, so here's Laura Jones. Some people have listed the names of the 4 brothers, but I saw them say that the names have been lost, that they don't have the names of the 4. Yes, now people are saying that they found the names and they know who the names are, but officially, Othram Labs said that they didn't have those names anymore. They lost. They didn't record it. But maybe some people have doing some digging found the names. Wait, we don't have a molecular weight on the sample they got. I can try to figure out how many codons they'd use. So here's the thing. This is the part that's super confusing. They originally said that the single source DNA on the knife sheath was essentially so small it was smaller than a grain of sand. It was impossible to see with the human eye and all that kind of shit. And then later on, after he pled guilty, now all these officials are saying his DNA is all over that knife sheath. There's a big difference between his DNA is all over the knife sheath and you have a piece that's so small you can't see with the human eye. And they had to do some fuckery and double the size of the SNP because it was too small. So whatever it was, it's really, really small. And yet they now want to tell you it's all over. His DNA was all, they practically want to tell you now. This will be a story from 2 months from now. His DNA was all over the house. That'll be the next thing.
Yeah.
Right now,
because that's what
DNA's
Cy
all
said.
over the knife sheath. Yeah. Now it's going to be
Cy said it's all over the house.
All over the house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But again, the prosecutor couldn't figure it out because he didn't have any of the DNA all over the house. But Cy Ray's got his DNA all over the house.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Did he say it's all over the house? Are you kidding me? God damn it.
Yeah,
man.
no, I'm not. He said that there's tons of DNA at that crime scene.
Yeah, he did say there was tons of DNA. And he did say there was cross-contamination between the scenes and all the shit that they said that there isn't. The reports say there's not, but he says there's cross-contamination between the scenes.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mr.
He says a lot of stuff that they officially
Mr. One Strand Hair. Yeah, he also says there's only one hair.
He laughed.
There's only one hair. Right. Only one hair in Ethan's hand, and there's no other hair. Although, obviously, we're never going to get to see that photo of Ethan holding the hair, but we do see the photo of, the bed frame, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's just the thing. These people are right. The prosecution would have been screaming that from the rooftop. If Brian Kohberger's DNA was all over the house, they would have said that. And Bill Thompson wouldn't have got up in front of the whole fucking courtroom and say, we can't place Brian Kohberger in the house. Because if you have his DNA, you can place him in the house.
And that's why all this stuff that's coming out is so aggravating, because it's obvious, this unknown male DNA here, unknown male DNA over there. Obviously, it didn't go back to Kohberger because, they'd be screaming from the rooftops, like you said.
Yeah. Right.
So why isn't there further testing? Why don't they make a big deal about the unknown male DNA? Well, if it's not Kohberger's and it's not Ethan's, other male victim, and who what other male DNA is there? So then is there another perpetrator? What's going on here?
So I'm not sure how much how much Hank Green's wife knows. So let me repeat it the way I remember it being. Othram Labs was first given the task on the DNA. When they got done with the DNA, actually, when they were working the DNA, they developed supposedly a lead to 4 brothers. They were they were requested to get more DNA from one of the brothers voluntarily so they can help build the profile. One of the brothers that they contacted essentially told them to pack sand, and he would not willingly give them DNA. The FBI then told Othram Labs to stop working on it and took the sample back and then doubled the size of the SNP. And then Ann Taylor said, we don't understand how you doubled the size of the SNP, to which essentially, in layman's terms, the answer was, that's law enforcement secrets. We don't have to show you how we doubled the size of the SNP, to which I argued a defendant has the right to see the evidence presented against him in court. If you're going to use it against him, he damn well fucking better be able to see the evidence for himself and see how you developed the profile. They doubled the size of the SNP and then said, we don't have to tell you how we did it. Law enforcement secrets. Ancient Chinese secret, huh? Anyways, we've got the Sarge up here. What's going on?
Oh my God. Give me the eyes. Give me the squint before you talk like that, would you?
Ancient. I can't do it.
Sarge.
If you remember in the very beginning, there was the biggest issue with the sample was the size.
Yeah.
Yes.
And Othram had to use proprietary software that they would not disclose.
Yeah.
Right.
Nobody else could have determined the any identity at all because the sample was too small. So I'm going to say 6 to 10 picograms are what they're arguing, but every other lab in the world is 20 and above picograms. That's just an example. I don't know if the words are right, but their proprietary software, according to them, gave them the capacity to identify DNA no other lab in the world could. And to this day, we don't know, and we'll never see it because it's proprietary. Somehow, using that word means we could do whatever we want.
They can hide shit.
Trust me, bro.
Trust me,
yeah,
bro.
it's
like I said,
Othram's, Go ahead.
Well, one
Go ahead.
thing that would get around that is that for court, in order to say definitively that that is somebody's DNA, it should have to meet a certain percentage. I
Right.
don't know what percentage that would be because that's not my area of expertise, of course.
That's what
But
they do.
Yeah.
that's
They do
what
it.
that's what it should be. Is that
They
you
do it
have
with
to meet a certain
paternity.
requirement.
Robin, they do that with paternity. They don't make
Yeah.
they don't hold you to a 100% match. I had a paternity test, and without telling the whole story, I wasn't the father because we never did that. Something else happened, just to be simple.
Right. I got you. I got the picture.
I argued stomach acid prevents pregnancy, and the judge looked like, "What the hell does that mean?" And I had to define that in open court. Yeah, I thought he was going to beat me with his gavel. but here's the thing: there's 12 things they look for, and I could have 8 of those markers. Someone else could have 10. Someone else could have
Sure.
5. Who's the dad?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They decide. That's the problem with DNA. It's a statistical analysis of what they find, and
Right.
it's up to the interpretation of the person
Yes.
running the tests.
Exactly.
And I've always been
Exactly.
an anti-DNA person. I've hated DNA since they started bringing it out because, unlike your fingerprint or retina, it is manipulable. You can't manipulate my fingerprint, nor the retina in my eye. Science
And
can't
I
do
do
that.
believe, I do believe for
DNA
those
can
who
be-
are saying it, one pointed this out. The FBI said they told Moscow Police Department essentially,
Right.
don't use this in court.
Right.
It's a tip only. Go do some real police work. The mistake was MPD and the prosecution ran with it and said to everyone in America, his DNA is at the house. We've got proof that the DNA is there. And the FBI told them, don't fucking say that. This is just a tip. Use it as a tip and go do some real police work. And so now it's a finger pointing contest because the FBI is like, you can't use that in court. I think the FBI knows they can't use the DNA.
Do you know
in court.
why?
They told them, don't do it. You can't use
You
it
know
in
why?
court.
You know why they
Why?
can't be used, Lee? Because
Why?
the FBI went into databases that they're prohibited from.
Right.
Yeah.
Now,
Right.
it's, now let me
Yeah.
just say, it's not terms of service. Well, the terms of service are one thing, but what the terms of service tell the public is that a warrant must be presented, a legal warrant, before they're allowed access to their database, and that would include a name. So you couldn't go to a judge and get a warrant to go search 23andMe for somebody's sample
Yes.
because you have no name to the sample. You see, you have to have a specific suspect, otherwise you're testing 10 million people, and that's prohibited by the Constitution. The government can't do
Right.
that. So
Right.
what they do when they backdoor this, the FBI themselves generally use a subcontractor to go in through the database as if they're doing genealogy work. Okay? And this is what that woman was saying on the stand that never came back again, right?
Right.
And they
Yes.
go in through a back door using the
Right,
third
right.
party, and then they tell the state that it's a tip because they don't want the constitutionality brought in front of the court. That's what
Right.
happened here.
And I
it's-
think there's another part too, which is this. And I didn't catch it at first. And I don't know if you guys have the answer to this or not. I remember hearing Ann Taylor argue about, and they got into a big argument in court about whether or not Brian Koberger's medical information was accessed. Remember, there was a lot of fight in the
Yeah.
court records, and they kept and the prosecution kept insisting we didn't access any of Brian Koberger's medical information. But it came to me that the what I missed, I think, is it could be a HIPAA violation the way they went into the database to get to Brian Koberger.
Yeah.
Because that is information supplied with certain HIPAA protections. It's privacy information. So if they went and got his information illegally, it's a HIPAA violation. So maybe the whole argument about whether or not them are, hey, we didn't access any of his medical records. Well, no, but if somebody again, when you submit your DNA to 23andMe or Ancestry or wherever the hell you're going, you have the option of, do you want to allow law enforcement to use the data you're submitting so that they can help use it to solve crimes, or do you want it not used that way? And if you say you don't want it used that way, for fuck's sake, they can't use it that way. But what they did is they went ahead and used it anyways.
Mhm.
They went
Right.
into a database that they were allowed not to because people said, I don't want you to use my data that way. And they got to Koberger by going to a database that they should. And people act like it's big deal. It was a policy violation. It could be a HIPAA violation,
Right.
which is illegal. So
Well,
it's a major
The
thing.
other question is, how many markers do they match? Because let me give you the example. Remember I gave you the numbers of the fathering, how they do paternity, right?
Yeah.
So if they only look at 8 markers rather than the full 12, then quintinnally, the biggest number you could dream of matches me and that child, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Now,
right.
if you carry it to the nth degree to the 12 markers, and I only have 8 of the 12, now the statistic is much different, right? And in New York, you don't need 100% match on those 12 markers. You can get away, I think, with above 8. 8 or above makes you the father. But here's the catch. That still doesn't naturally make you the father.
Right.
Science cannot say for sure that you're the father. It's a statistical match. And the other thing is what they do is they take me and they take the female in a geographical area, and the statistics they'll use are there's between 20 and 35-year-old white males of European descent in this area. There's 60,000, right? So it's within that particular group of people. They go look. They use that as the statistics to determine the end result. When they say you're potentially 80% father, it's not just a matter of the markers. It's a matter of how many other people in that area are likely to have markers that would match this, because your markers are not unique to you. 99.999% are the same.
Yes.
You see? So the statistic. I mean, what if you don't carry a 1? For God's sakes. And
Right.
you're doing statistical analysis. Come on. You didn't carry a 1, stupid. So,
Yeah, and I was just confirming the same number while you were talking. It was funny because you got to the same number I was doing. I looked up any 2 human beings on the planet of Earth are 99.9% similar to each other in DNA. Their DNA is exactly the same. 99.9% of their DNA is 100% match. That doesn't work. 50% of the time, it's right all the time. Anyways, the point being is that 99.9% of your DNA is identical between any 2 human beings on Earth. It's very, very, very little that separates us, that makes the difference between your hair color, your eye color, your skin color, your gender. That's very small. So when they give you these ridiculous numbers about how likely it is you're like somebody else, we are all like each other. Take the most radical human being you can on the planet. I'm white. Let's take a black person, completely different continent, and we're still 99.9% similar in our DNA.
Right.
Yep.
I don't know. I've seen some wacky creatures in New York City.
Even a rat.
You're just an inch of a percent away from them there, one. Oh, man.
Hold on. I got to find this out.
How was your weekend, Robin?
It was good. It was good. Got some crap done around the house and all that. Hope yours was too.
Oh, yeah, mine was fine. I did a good stream the other day, I think maybe yesterday as recently as. And, how about one? How was your weekend? Did you shoot anybody or pull your anything?
My weekend is right now, so.
Oh, yeah, you work weekends, so. And then, Lee, what'd you do all weekend? We've seen you drinking before the end of the last stream. Don't deny it.
Don't get me in trouble with the drinking thing, man. I didn't really do a whole lot of anything this weekend. Yeah.
We laughed like hell Saturday night. I know that.
Oh
much.
my God, did we had a fun time with the quality and general manager.
Yes. I saw you. I saw when you put that interview on. I was like, oh no.
Well, it's funny because I felt bad because I've been told by several people it's not worth your time watching because it's just a joke. But sometimes having a little humor can be fun. So if I had realized how much humor was involved in it, I wouldn't have taken it's not worth listening to because it's a joke. Maybe I should have done the same thing with Steve Gonzalez on the Drunk Turkey show, because it's the same thing. Everybody's like, don't watch it. It's completely a waste of time. And I'm like, I don't know. Is it a waste of time like the Quality In thing? Because that was awesome.
I got a question. When your life is that you'll say whatever you need to say so that you could gather attention and an audience, what kind of a life do you think you really have?
Shitty life.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you lie to yourself? That's the thing. And I mean, I did that when I was on drugs because it was easy, right? I mean, what do you mean that's not mine? Right. Oh, yeah, it is, right? So. But when you're a normal everyday person that doesn't inebriate or intoxicate or drug themselves from reality, how? Yeah. Like Daniel went from being a pro-burger to a guilter, only after the media humiliated him. To me, that it was like a light switch. And I guess even if you agree with the media narrative, how could you even watch a guy that's willing to do that?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm just shocked.
Good point. Good point.
All right, we don't question anything lately. I mean, the DNA, this struggle's been like that for a long. Isn't there like 10,000 or 1,000 cases up in Washington State from a DNA technician changing results to fit the suspect? You guys aware of that?
In Washington,
Yeah,
Well,
there's a huge,
Colorado
huge-
was the last place.
or Colorado. Okay.
Yeah.
But you're talking a massive amount of people in jail
Yeah.
at the hands of some, and this is the other question, right? I stole for money to get drugs. I mean, right? A,
Yeah.
B, C. It's obvious to see. What was she doing? Putting all these people behind. What was her reward, in other words?
Right. What
Right.
was the motivation
Yeah.
for it? Right.
How as a human being can you do that? Look, it's
I
been
was gonna
30
say
plus
some
years
people.
since-
Some people are very evil.
no conscience.
Well-
Was she getting tapped on the back every day with those? I don't see. That's what
Well,
I'm
that's the
saying.
thing. Like, that's the
Crime
thing. If
doesn't
these,
fit the reward. Go ahead.
if you're a lab, let me just give a hypothetical. If you're a lab like Othram Labs, and you almost always return the results that law enforcement needs or prosecution needs to get a result, then that's where law enforcement and prosecutions will go to get their lab results. So
Exactly.
there is a financial incentive for them. Their lab can become the lab law enforcement prefers to use if that's the lab that almost always, hey, we need it to be so-and-so. Done. I can give a report that says it's so-and-so. Now, I'm not saying that happens, but there is that kind of incentive. If you become known as the law enforcement or prosecution's favorite because you always turn results that they need, we think it's this person. Can you do a test on this and see if it is? Because that's the way you lead them. We think it's this person. Can you test this? Instead of just saying, can you test this and tell us who it is? We're not going to give you a name. How about we're going to tell you, we think it's so-and-so. Can you find them on there? Yes, I can do that for you. I found him.
Are you familiar with the Amanda Knox case where she was
Yes.
convicted on transfer?
Yeah.
DNA,
Yep.
and then acquitted because of they found her transfer DNA and a knife in her apartment. I mean, ooh, really?
Didn't they try her again after she got acquitted too? Didn't she have a second trial?
I don't know. I know the Supreme
I
Court.
think she
they-
did. Yeah.
But that's the catch-22, and I'm telling you right now, crime shows on TV are talking about the power of DNA, even in its microscopic form, to identify and put killers behind bars. This is a real danger to all of us. It's a huge danger.
I
that our
know.
transfer DNA
Yeah.
could wrap up
Yeah.
the crime.
And Sarge, wouldn't you like to know that I have Lee's DNA?
You better not anymore.
One
probably do.
trying to he's
Probably
trying to
do,
make
actually.
audience with the devil himself. Oh man. Yeah, this is the most perplexing case because there's so many angles of chaos, confusion, and corruption. Oh, I got a question. This is why I wanted to come up. I'm glad you guys invited me. I
Yeah.
give that credit to Robin. Thank you, Robin. What the hell?
You're very welcome.
Yep. That's fine.
Who has pictures of the door to Xana's bedroom with the blood sample?
We could probably pull it pretty quick, especially if Amanda's here because she can search for it while we're talking. But
Amanda,
we definitely, I do know that we have the picture pack and that has that. Is that the line of blood that has a little kind of jagged?
I don't know.
at
I'd
the
like
end
to
of it?
see her door. I'd like to see her door and look at those blood samples versus the other samples that we know for sure are diluted transfer.
Yeah.
Right? If I don't have the documents. I mean, I trust
We do-
my
we do
memory.
have
Sometimes
them.
it fails me.
The problem we do have them and we can pull them up. The problem with it is that the documents that we have or the pictures that we have are just pictures. Then you'd have to compare them to the report that Sutton wrote that identifies which stain we're talking about. So it takes a little bit of
looking
work
at
to do the whole
Xana's
here's the
bedroom
stain,
door.
here's- Yeah.
That's it. But, where they got pictures of blood on the door.
Yeah. I'll see if I can
Because
find
I
it.
thought it was pretty obvious it was blood on the door.
You guys hold the fort down. I'll go do some
Yeah, I'm
digging.
looking to. And you're trying to find Xana's door?
Xana's bedroom door where there's blood on the outside,
Okay.
on the outside of the door. Why isn't there blood on the inside? Which is, I don't know if there is. Is there pictures of both sides of the door?
I don't recall seeing pictures on both sides of the door.
Yeah.
Or of both sides, I mean. Yeah, I don't know.
But you would think they'd have pictures of both sides of the door, wouldn't you?
You would think, but I
Yeah,
still say
I know.
there's crap that they have not gotten out to us and may never,
Yeah, it's like asking a homeless guy for a physics question answer. You just can't do it with these people. What they did is just it's just unexplainable.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I-
Yeah. I just don't understand if it was such an open and shut case.
Yeah.
Why all the subterfuge and
Why is it we all feel like 90-year-olds trying to open up a pickle jar?
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. That's a good way to describe it. That's for sure.
There's one sure way to open up those vacuum packed jars that never fails. You punch a hole in the lid, a tiny hole. That
Yeah,
tiny
to
hole,
release
that
all
air,
the.
it'll equalize the pressure from inside
Yeah.
out. You can open the jar.
Yep.
Lee is diligently searching. He's got it. That
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking too.
Oh, you are? We can't tell with those
Yeah.
glasses. but
Well,
God,
I've got a bunch of photos, but so the photo that I thought was it is probably not it. I'll put it on screen so we can walk through. Okay, so for those who haven't seen it before, these are going to contain blood on walls. No, we don't see human beings, but if you were squeamish about blood, and especially since you know what it is, I guess you're going to have to find something else to watch, because this is we're going to show some crime scene photos. They're not horrible, but some people are pretty squeamish. So,
And I did put
All
up
right.
the advisory.
so right about in here is a stain that we're going to zoom in on a little bit. So this right here, but it's outside of a bathroom area. That's the
what
one
floor?
I thought was the one that was. Well, that's what I thought was.
Uh.
And there's the beer pong table with the blood that you wanted to look at. There's a few more photos I'll show you as we get a little further here. So
Wait,
here's
there was
the
blood in the kitchen?
There's a blood drop
Yes,
on
yeah.
the floor.
Right on the floor in the
right
that's in
there.
the kitchen.
Yep.
Yep.
All right.
It even looks like there's a spot there, but I don't know if that's blood or not.
Yeah, it does look like that kind of.
And then this is the upstairs bedroom door. This is the banister leading down to the switchback. And so they zoom in on this door with blood spatter on the door on that side. And then, so here's the swipe on the ping pong table. See, the pictures are kind of out of order and out of sequence. So,
Right.
okay, so this is why I said that remember that the first photo I showed you that had a swipe there's the laundry room, I think, right there, and that's Xana and Ethan's, or Xana's room. It's not Ethan's room. Xana's room right there. So this there's a mark of blood right here that's kind of a long tailing and a little jagged at the end. I thought that's what people were referring to when they said that was Xana's blood, but I would have to look at the report to see what it was marked
Amanda
as.
Amanda put a good one in Teams.
She put a good one in Teams. Okay.
Yeah, that shows
Yeah,
the blood on the
yeah,
door.
that's an
I think
excellent
that's yeah.
1,031
Thank
is
you,
all.
Amanda.
Good Lord, that's graphic. Okay, hold on. How do I show this? See, I don't want to show. The problem is I don't want to show the image from Teams because we have private shit in Teams, and I don't want to accidentally
just-
show something. Okay, hold on.
1031
You just have to
saying
download it.
is Xana's door. 1031.
1031. Okay, hold on.
Yeah. Hopefully she's not
103.
jostling. You don't put something up there we all don't want
Oh,
to
that's
see.
the same one that's the same one that Amanda did. There it is.
Okay, so
so-
that's the inside of her door, not the outside.
No,
Yeah, no, yes,
no, that's
it
the
is.
outside because the door opens
an
in
open
towards
door.
the bedroom.
The hinges are on the far side of the handle. What are you talking about?
Yeah, but the shot is from inside the bedroom
Yeah,
looking out.
This is the This
Yeah.
is the bedroom here. That's the hallway out here.
Well, how
So
is
the
that
door
diluted
opens-
cast off? Can someone explain that to me?
That's
That don't
not.
look like-
No, I don't think that's. They didn't say
Yeah.
that was diluted cast. There's
Yeah,
a
they
does-
did.
picture
yeah.
right
There's
there.
a
There's some
statement that
diluted.
there's a statement that there's diluted cast off on her door, but
Well, right there, you can see this. So, wouldn't you argue that this particular line where I'm tracing is diluted?
well,
Like,
only
here's-
because it
here's
ran
not
so
diluted,
far.
but
Only
that-
because it
that
ran
one.
that far before it dried at the bottom. No.
I don't know. Look how tall it still goes up.
Yeah, it goes down the whole length of the door. So is it diluted
Yeah.
or just? Or
That
is it
one
just,
looks diluted.
That first
there
one
it
looks
goes.
diluted.
Yeah, that
yes.
looks
That
diluted.
first one, yeah, it's
So-
definitely
So
weird.
how did such a diluted
right.
get
But
next
it goes-
to undiluted?
Yeah,
Can you go back? Wait.
it's
Keep
weird,
going.
right?
It goes up
Look
above
at
their
that.
ruler. Follow the stain.
Right.
Follow
Yeah,
I
the
know.
stain.
It goes up there.
But you-
Yeah, I know.
You would
Okay,
you
so
would think
doesn't
that
it get lighter as it runs down the wall? Isn't that what we're
You-
seeing?
But the
Or
other
we're-
ones aren't.
right.
Sarge,
You would
look.
think they would all be.
You're not-
you would
you're
think
not
they would all be
following me.
diluted.
You're not following me. Those two stains that are not diluted ran only a foot. That stain
Yeah.
looks like it ran the whole length of the door.
Right. It even goes up here.
Up. And so, but again, if you're going to get lighter and lighter and lighter as you run further,
Yeah.
further and further, right?
Right.
Right.
I get. Right.
You get me? So is
Yeah.
it diluted or is it just a stain that's ran for so long that it's left less and less and less and less of an imprint.
That may be. That
You
that
understand?
line
What-
may not
what
actually-
does it-
right, that may
what
not
does
It
be
goes
look
way
correct.
above the handle. Look above the handle. It keeps
What-
going up. Go ahead.
What does it look like at the initial point of contact?
We don't get the
Well,
door
I don't know.
picture
You
that
have to go
high.
higher up
Yeah,
the door.
you can't
Way
see,
above
you
the
can't
door.
tell.
Look, no, go back. Go back. There, right there. Look, it keeps going above his mesh. Go back.
Right there.
Look
Say.
above the measuring stick. It keeps going
Yeah.
up.
Right, right.
And look how
Yeah,
far
you
it
can't
runs.
tell where the initial.
And is that because of the runoff is so significant of that sample? It just kept going until it fades
Yeah.
out. Right? You take a anyway.
That,
All right, so,
I don't know.
but that's all
Could
the
just
blood
be,
they found on her door?
that
I don't
that
know.
line, that one line, maybe that's like an outlier drop.
Yeah, right. That
As you look
line
at
could
the-
have been from 5 months
Right.
ago, for all we know.
Right. I mean, I'm not
These might
saying
be
it's
from that
not-
night, and this might not
Right,
even be
right.
from that
I mean, because
Those
you look
three
at
don't
these,
look diluted at all. Fair enough.
you look
No.
at those three
Right.
lines.
That's what I mean.
Right. Yeah.
So they're claiming that there was diluted blood found on her door, and I'm questioning, is that a diluted streak or is that a streak of a sample that just ran its course and didn't dry until it got wherever
Right.
it got?
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't know.
All right. Sorry, I'm sorry to cause chaos. I'm not trying
No,
to.
it's
No,
not
no,
chaos.
no,
It's
you're
good
fine.
question. Yeah.
Captain K.
It's good to
Captain
question.
Caveman.
Remember that? And the teenager. Remember that cartoon?
Yeah, I do.
Oh,
Yeah,
man.
sadly, I do.
I used to love Grape Ape.
Yeah.
Oh God,
Sadly, I
yeah.
remember that too.
Yep.
One
Grape
one's
Ape.
like, what are you guys talking about? Right?
I'm not that old.
Hey now.
All right. What other comments, questions do you guys, for those who are in the chat, do you have any questions you want to ask any one of the panelists who are up here right now? Anything that you saw that you want to talk about? Even if you want to maybe touch on the other book cases we're reading, we can maybe talk about that, although my team might not know all that stuff. But please read my opinion, Dog Shaking Off.
Yep.
Yeah, and that is something we have discussed quite
But
a
that's Zana's
bit.
blood. That's not
Yeah.
the two girls' blood. That's Zana's blood on her door, and I don't think that that's comparable to the blood of the cast off in the common area.
Right.
And so I did a stream the other night going over all of that. I also in
Yeah.
my stream, and this is a good topic, I think, if you guys want to talk about it. The order of people killed, I think, is completely opposite than what we're being told. And I think the proof is in the diluted cast off on the second floor. And as much as this, upstairs, where Xana and Maddie were, or not Xana, but Bethany and Maddie, right? They were killed in that room. And then the killer came downstairs, and we had diluted cast off. And the diluted cast off, almost to the exact point, states Bethany, primary, Maddie, minor. And that to me
Yeah.
suggests that the last person to have been wounded was Bethany. Because if you were to take a knife and stab it into a pig, and then take that same knife and stab it into a horse, and then that blood were cast off, the prominent cast off would be from the horse, and the pig would be minor cast off. So in that example, if you look at the two young women upstairs, you'll see Maddie was killed first, Bethany was killed second, and on the cast off stains, your primary contributor is Bethany, with a minor contributor.
What do you mean?
Maddie.
You mean
Kaylee.
Kaylee?
I mean, Kaylee.
Kaylee,
Yeah,
I keep
Kaylee.
saying-
I was like, huh, Bethany.
I was like, wait a
No,
minute,
no,
what?
yeah, okay, so let me say this again.
Yeah.
Kaylee was killed first, Maddie was killed second, and the cast off of primary Kaylee, minor Maddie, proves it. Right?
No,
You
I don't
follow the
know.
logic there?
I don't.
Well,
and the reason why I
yeah.
don't is because I would have think the opposite. If Kaylee was attacked first and then Maddie's blood would be more prominent on it because it'd be simultaneously being wiped off while stabbing Maddie, and
Okay,
therefore
stop.
the
Right.
Stop
primary
your thought.
contributor.
Stop your
Okay.
thought. Listen, the primary cast off mechanism, or in the second floor, is primary contributor Kaylee,
Yes.
minor contributor Maddie,
Correct.
which fits
Right.
exactly what you're saying. In that Maddie would have been first, Kaylee would have been second.
Right.
Okay, so we agree.
Well, I thought you just said the
Yeah,
opposite.
I thought you
just
said the
that-
opposite
that-
too.
No,
Yeah,
no, I'm
yeah,
sorry.
you just
No,
said the
no,
opposite.
I got names mixed up, so I probably
Yeah,
got other
yeah.
things mixed up.
No,
Right?
I agree. I think
I'm
think
still
we're
trying
in
to open
agreement
this
with
pickle
that.
jar.
Yeah. No, I think we're in agreement with that because I think a lot of the dual blood samples they had there, wasn't it? Like I think most of it from the report was like 90% Kaylee, 10%
Right, which would make her
Maddie.
the last one wounded
Right.
with that weapon. Okay, now
Right.
go downstairs and what do you find with Xana and Ethan? You find undiluted blood smears, okay, or droplets from Kaylee, blood smears and a droplet from Ethan, neither of which are diluted by anything, which suggests to me not just two perpetrators, but potentially two different times those people. In other words, Ethan first and then Xana. And I say that because there's no way he would have been the least stabbed, the least attacked, and the first killed if he wasn't the first killed.
Yeah.
In other words, he died with minimal wounds versus all the three young women, right?
Right.
And how could you attack Xana with that kind of horrificness where she ended up on the floor being what happened to her, and him not respond to that? And not receive any wounds from a fight. His wounds were all defensive on his legs, his arms, right? They got his neck, they got his jugular vein.
Yeah.
He was on his back.
On
the back, right?
That's what he was trying to swipe away. That's what the Turvey described. He was trying to swipe away as they were, whoever was, maybe multiple people trying to slice at him, and he was swaying away.
And he was turtled up. He pulled his leg, his thighs back, right?
Yeah.
So in this situation, it appears that Ethan had to be first, and then
I agree.
Which is exactly opposite of what the narrative is. The narrative says they chased Xana to the room,
right?
But how could you chase Xana to that room and attack her like that without a response from Ethan? Because Ethan was killed laying on his back in the bed.
Right.
That does not fit. There was either had to be someone in the room prior to that, prior to her entering that, and it could have been the same person that killed her. But until we know what time they both get home, then we really don't know for sure what happened in that room. Did they come home together? Did Ethan come home first?
Right.
And then another big thing there too is that spare bedroom. What the hell happened in that spare bedroom?
What was all the bracelet he was talking about?
The bracelet was found there, right? Wasn't it? Xana's bracelet was there, and
Dylan's coat.
Right.
Right. Was there a Sensi light down there that was broken?
Yes.
Yeah, I suspect that what Turvey and what Whitcomb are pointing to are a more complex crime scene, and even the orders of death don't fit with the arguments being made depending on Brian. Now, as to whether he was there or not, I don't know. But it's unlikely that Kaylee was the target. It just doesn't make any sense because of the blood splatter. And if you're going to accept Dylan saying she heard her dancing with the dog, you have to ask the question, how'd the killer get by her to go upstairs? Right? If she goes up the stairs and says there's someone here, well, how did he get in the house? How did he get by her and her dog on the second floor? How did they get by Xana if Xana was on the second floor? How did this person get upstairs and pass there's either Xana or Kaylee were on the second floor. How did they get by them?
Unless one or some of the killers, or the plan that was involved. It's people that they know.
Right. See, that's what I think.
It could be someone, sitting right there next to Ethan, is in the room with him, and then the plan goes into execution. And
I got a question for you, on crime scenes. I'm presuming you've walked into crime scenes early, before the official investigation starts. You've walked.
I've been on crime scenes many times.
Right.
I'm not a detective, so I have not worked on cases, but as being a first responder, safeguarding a crime scene, I've done it many times.
So I want to ask you this question. The White Claw box here is on the floor now, not up on the banister in this photo. So if I'm trying to understand that. So if you're law enforcement and look, things haven't been labeled yet. There's not stickies on the wall showing numbers of samples. None of that's happened yet. But
Right.
so if a law enforcement officer knocks the White Claw box, this is my question. I'm not making any allegations. If let's say
Yeah.
an officer bumps the box and it falls on the floor, do you guys just
Right.
leave it be when it gets knocked, or do you put it back? Like what happens if you're still walking the scene and now you're starting to disturb the scene? Because how did the White Claw box go from being on the banister with Ethan's blood underneath it to on the floor here? And why is there no explanation? I'm just curious. Like, what would be the process if you knocked something over?
You shouldn't touch anything. I mean, once once it's established that there's no threat in whatever it is, the house, the location, the threat is over, and you have an active crime scene, everything is it's shut down. Everything gets shut down. So if you did touch something, so if you you're aware, like you knock something off a shelf or something, that's info that should be told to detective who has the case.
Right. So
you should be telling them like, look, I didn't.
Hey, I
it
knocked
wasn't
this
done
over.
right. It was an accident. I went up, but just so you know, it was over here, and you can, and they should be able to say, you'll see in my body camera video, this where it happened. That's what should happen. It should be full disclosure.
Well, so here's the reason I'm asking. So I'm trying to, again, these photos are out of order, so we don't know.
Right.
Was the White Claw box on the floor like this when officers first arrived and photographed where it was, and then somebody picked it up and put it on top of the banister? First of all, I don't see any blood visibly on the banister at all. But we know that according to Sutton, the White Claw box is on top of blood from Ethan. So was it on the floor originally like this, and somebody picked it up and put it on top of the banister, not seeing that there's some blood from Ethan on the banister and put it on top of it? Like that, I'm trying to figure out the order. How did this White Claw box end up on the floor?
Order, Lee.
Right.
We know the order from the other day when you ran Nuna's cam.
Yeah.
That was
Right,
up on
that's
the
right.
Right.
That's right. His camera shows him walking in on the scene.
You
and
always
it's on
want
there.
it,
It's on
right.
there. Yeah.
You also
by
notice
first
in this
responder.
image, you'll notice the pong table. It's a beer pong, not ping pong, by the way, Lee. So the beer pong table
Yes.
was moved. And so what should happen here is the initial photos are identified, and there you go. So photo one was up there, but when it moves, they're looking for more blood on that railing or that sill, right? There should be a
That's what
note
I
of
would think.
that
Right.
White
Right.
Claw was removed from rail to look for more evidence.
And the
that's what
table's
it-
been
right.
moved because the table would be
table's
in the
been moved,
shot.
yeah.
Table's been
So
moved,
now they're
yeah.
going through the crime scene. They're trying to find more evidence in the crime scene, and they're going to move things around. But originally, it was documented with the walkthrough, and hopefully, the ISP documented everything as they found it.
Yeah.
Hopefully, who knows?
This right here.
But so much stuff gets moved. That's why you always got to go back to the first responder body camera, because that's the closest you're going to get to where things
Or
were.
what's that metal strip? Is that floor a different height, or is that just an expansion joint? Do you see the metal strip on that floor? Maybe you guys don't see it at the top of the picture. Right
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
It's a weird place for an expansion joint.
Yeah, I know. I'm still
trying to figure out what the fuck that is.
Amanda's, but there's so many different I mean, there's like multiple White Claw boxes. But yeah, I remember. Yeah, Dylan did say she saw Maddie with a White Claw box. Yep.
And on that wall there is blood samples on the wall you're zooming in on.
Yeah.
Between that brass table and that corner, there's diluted blood that you're not really seeing well, but later on you'll see pictures of them measuring it or noting it.
Yeah. Right here.
No, the corner over by that red dot. That part of the wall between the brass table that you don't have in the image and that end of the wall, right down by where your mouse was, basically above there was blood.
Yeah.
Oh, anyways, all right. We can pour over.
Picture. Too late.
Oh, what? You want me to put something back?
You showed another picture that at least on that north wall.
And they found,
Go back.
wasn't there a pool of blood at the bottom of the stairs? Wasn't there?
No.
Yeah.
Go back so that you see the front wall of the stairway, the side wall, the north wall. Not there. The other pic. Clip through.
This one?
You show it from the other direction, I think, coming up.
I did.
I thought.
Well, I've been thumbing through photos a lot, so now I'm lost track of where the hell I'm at.
I'd love to have access to all those.
What would you
photos,
expect to see that isn't
Well,
there?
we can get. Oh, by the way, yeah, I love this. This looks like a smiley face. Every time I look at this, I think to myself, that looks like a smiley face. Could that have happened by accident? Sure, I suppose. But
This
does it look
looks
like
weird, right?
Does it look
It's
like
weird.
someone took time with like their finger to draw a smiley face?
Yeah.
But it's probably just random.
Yeah.
It's one of those. What do they call that condition where you
They
look at
move it.
clouds and you see shapes in the clouds?
Yeah, we're programmed for that, for protection.
Right.
We
right.
see faces
Well,
and everything.
What would I expect to see here that isn't here? The number one thing is footprints. There's no footprint. Very, very, very few footprints.
That floor's got that pine sol shine to it.
There's like no footprints. That's like, you know, it's one of these killers came in on a magic carpet.
Were you
Like,
Michael
hovering.
Gott's got a question for 1-1 there.
the 33 footprints that were found in the house? You guys are familiar with that, I suspect.
Yes.
All belonging to law enforcement. And the question that rises for me is, why were you able to find your footprints on the floor but no other samples of blood?
Right.
That tells me it was cleaned, right?
Right. It's saying
Why only
it's-
their
it's seen
footprints?
that, Right.
Right? Well, so their
Hoverboard. Yeah,
footprints
the
walked-
killer
they
used a
didn't-
hoverboard. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Or hover shoes.
Yeah.
Those were a thing one time.
Which the
right?
hoverboard would actually make sense on how there's no footprints on the ground. It's not that he was flat-footed, like Ray said. He was using a hoverboard. So that explains.
Well, look at the doorway when you come in. The floor is a filthy mess. Well, how could there be no tracks in that house? The staircase is empty. It looks like a crack house.
And why don't we have tracks? Why are there no footprints from Hunter Johnson? Is thing
Yeah.
that's weird to me. He's not at dispute. He went into Xana's room to check on Xana, right?
Yeah. And so
And there was
look,
blood everywhere. Where
So
is
this
his
is a-
footprints?
This is a good listen. This Amanda, we don't talk about this enough. Ray
Yeah,
hinted
Dexter.
that he could have pulled a Dexter and had plastic sheeting on things. Now he was using that to say that maybe Koberger had wrapped his own car steering wheel and seat and everything with plastic. That way he knew he could just throw the plastic away and not leave any blood behind. But why not? We never discussed the possibility that maybe somebody didn't need to wipe the floor down. Could plastic sheeting have been put down before they? But that doesn't make a lot of sense. But could plastic sheeting have been on the floor? And
Yeah.
just picked up afterwards. I don't know.
Could Brian Kohlberg have intentionally
why-
left his transfer DNA in that sheath in a small quantity to try to cause all this chaos with law enforcement?
No. Yeah.
Can you imagine?
No.
Everything is perfectly done except there's a little bit of transfer DNA, and he's like, "Catch me now."
I mean, but it wouldn't make sense with the, like Xana's body there, like because her body, with the plastic, some kind of tarp. What's it's just like pull the tarp from underneath her, but
Well, what do you do? Say, look, Xana, Ethan, here, hold these beers. Hold the corner of the plastic, if you don't mind.
Yeah. I'm going to lay this out and tape it down.
Yeah. What are you doing while we're getting ready to do
I'll
something?
I'll get back to you in a minute. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. This case is nuts. Nutbaggery.
And
All
how
right. Let's
about
take
the cleaning room was left wide open, that door, and there's a mop and a bucket, and there's a Swiffer, and they never tested that stuff? They never looked
No.
to see if any of that had been used?
No, and in fact, I think Sari
No.
laughed at people for suggesting that there's anything wrong with that. There's nothing found in the bathroom. There's nothing to test.
no, and they didn't really
So-
test much of anything in there. Yeah.
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 You don't ask questions that you already know the answer to, or that you
Don't
Well,
wanna
you got
know
Tur-
the
yeah,
answer to.
yeah, you got
Yeah,
Turvey
you guys were
asking
talking-
questions.
You're talking about the sheath earlier. For years, it was on the inside of the button snap.
Yes.
That's written in reports. This isn't
Yeah.
rumor on the internet. This was written.
Right.
Button
Right.
snap. Inside a button snap, right?
Yep.
And then it's morphed to now it's on the inside of the it was the inside of the belt loop. Now that's
Yep.
not it. Now it was on the strap that held the button.
Right.
And a long time ago, going back a couple of years, I pointed out that brass destroys DNA. So if it was inside the button snap, the sample after 4 hours would be completely destroyed.
Right, which is about the same.
Right.
When people started pointing that out, that's about the time that the stain moved from the snap to something else. When people started pointing out
Exactly.
that it would have been corrupted by the brass, that's when they started to say it was actually on the knife sheath, by the buckle, on the strap.
Yeah,
That's when that's
yeah.
changed. Is when people started bringing up the brass
It's
stuff.
changed. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
probably on
And now
Brian's door
the
handle.
story is his DNA is all over that knife sheath.
Yeah, it's Ray saying that, right?
Yeah. And
Here you go.
and-
Here's a question for you, Lee.
what would Brent Kopacka's motive be?
That's yeah.
So there's several things. One motive is if he was unstable, if he had, and again, I'm not. This is not a definitive laying it out. If he was unstable and a bit racist, and in the standoff with Kopacka, he calls people racist names and makes racist jokes. So if he was a racist and he moved to Idaho because it was a racist area and he's mentally unstable, and then the allegations come in, if the allegations were true from places like 4chan of some of the girls were sleeping with football players and black football players, and it could have turned into something weird that way. I don't know what his motive would be. From people who knew Kopacka, he apparently could be unstable. He could go from zero to angry in a second. So could he have been somewhere and snapped? Could he have been involved with somebody? Could he have been recruited by somebody to go take care of something? He had a fascination with knives and things like that. So I don't know, to be honest with you, what his motivation would be. I've got lots and lots of hours into Kopacka, and the part that sucks is all I want to do is just clear him if he's not involved, so I can stop talking about it, because if he's not involved, I feel horrible, but I can't rule him out. In fact, there's more reasons to put him involved than there is not, unfortunately.
Didn't both judges slip with that name, either partially or completely?
Well, that's the problem. So I don't think both did. I do think Judge
started
to say Kopacka, but again, I need to hear an unadulterated version, because when I went to go look for the famous thing where Judge says Kopacka, somebody had altered that audio and clearly put it was somebody else's voice saying it. So I haven't seen and I hope to God that all of us talking about Judge slipping Kopacka's name isn't from the altered, because what I heard sounded altered. So I want to hear it unaltered before I completely.
I'm pretty sure I was watching that hearing live when that happened.
And that maybe a lot of people say that. So I'm not saying.
I mean, he did say Kopacka.
Yeah, he's like,
I don't think he said the whole thing. He kind of stopped himself. Right.
The thing that gives the saving grace to Kopacka is that because he was dead, there's no better person to connect to this crime. See, this is why I think there's people up top that had targets on Kohberger, but I don't think the investigators or the policemen down below had any clue. Once they targeted Kohberger, it was over, right?
Yeah.
And again,
why would you have targeted Kopacka?
Well, there's a couple of reasons. So I've got theory, and I don't want to make it sound like I'm nuts. I feel like I'm going to say nuts when I explain this. But one, I have reasons to believe Kopacka and Kohberger ran into each other in Pennsylvania. So, and I've explained that over and over again. I think they knew each other from Pennsylvania. So already I've got a problem. How do these guys both come from Pennsylvania and end up in the fucking butt crack of Washington and Pullman, Washington together in a small little town? Kopacka has no reason to be there whatsoever. He doesn't have a job there. There's nothing to explain why Kopacka is in Pullman in the first place. So how did somebody from Pennsylvania and his family from Pennsylvania end up in Pullman, Washington with Kohberger? So that made me think that maybe they knew each other. And if they did know each other, that could explain a lot of how Kohberger got on their radar. If they knew the two guys knew each other, and if they knew Kopacka had been involved, and then when Kopacka gets killed by accident or on purpose or however you want to say it goes down, they're left with the only other person they know was involved was the friend of Kopacka, Kohberger, if that's the case. And so then maybe they just shift the gears. And the other part of it is there's no money in prosecuting a dead person. There's tons of money that flows into the state.
Saves the town. It saves the town, though, Lee. Everybody's arguing that they were saving it, right? And here's the other thing is, you heard these people that are in jail interacting with Kohberger. Ain't no way someone like Kopacka is going to put up with a guy like that, asking all these questions, trying to see how you see the world, and blah, blah. There's no way a Kohberger and a Brent Kopacka come from any similarity to be friends.
But I will tell you.
Yeah,
I will tell you, because Lee got, we have all these interviews and stuff. There is an interview where it came out that Kopacka actually does like he actually likes stargazing. So
there's a lot of
there is an interest there.
There's a lot of things. There's a lot of things. Kopacka got out of the Rangers about the same time that Brian Kohberger was in high school. Yes, right. Yes.
Could he have been there for Aryan Nation reasons? Could he have been there for drug reasons, Kopacka?
Yes.
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
I could see if Koberger was using that would be an interest in a connection, but there's no evidence Koberger was using out there.
So there's another circumstantial. I don't know if you've heard this. There's another circumstantial thing. And again, you're going to laugh when I lay this out, but I'm telling you. So if Koberger, so first of all, if Brent Kopacka was in Pennsylvania, and Robin and I proved it, we almost have definitive proof that the first place that Brent Kopacka went when he got discharged from the military was to Pennsylvania. He had a house with his mom and his brother in Pennsylvania. Their names are on the lease.
Right.
We got them there in Pennsylvania. So that's where he went when he got out of the military. Brian Koberger's sister, who's older, starred in a horror film called 2 Days Back. It was shot in a small little town in Pennsylvania. It was about college kids that encounter killers in the woods, of all things, kind of thing. And we know Brent Kopacka and his friends were all into horror movies. They were big into horror movies. So yes, they were, and only a couple hours away, like an hour and a half away. So is there a possibility? Sure, maybe it's grasping at straws. But is it possible that Brent Kopacka, being a fan of horror movies, sees a horror movie being shot in Pennsylvania in his neck of the woods, met Amanda Koberger and her little brother Brian through Amanda Koberger? So it doesn't necessarily mean they're buds hanging out with each other with decades between them. It could have been Amanda Koberger that was a jumping point between the two of them. And then again, Brian Koberger, when he's in high school, says, I want to be an Army Ranger. I aspire to be an Army Ranger. Is it because he knew this badass Purple Heart veteran that just got out of the military, friends with his sister could have been? And he's like, man, I want to be a badass like this guy. So yes, all circumstantial, but there's a plausible path to it.
Well, the only plausible path to it is that we can't prove or disprove it.
Right.
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 And then when you get into that kind of analysis, then there's, I don't know where it takes.
No, we can't. But
can't prove it.
no, but like Sarge, you brought up multiple times, right? Like three of the victims were hit in the subclavian node.
I was wrong. I'm glad you brought that up.
You were?
Two of the four.
Two of them. Okay, but still two of them.
Ethan and Kaylee.
Yeah.
I thought
but
three of them were, but
yeah, so did I.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. I'm glad you brought it up so I can go on the record correcting myself.
But you'd have to someone would have to really know what they were doing, right?
Yeah, no, there's no doubt that crime was not done by somebody for their first ride on a bicycle.
Right. So I'm not saying that it's Kopacka, but it would be someone that would have to have some kind of
legitimate person of interest.
Knife skills. Right. That's right. Exactly.
Right.
I would at least say he's a person of interest. Right.
And if you can believe what the police say about Koberger, and I don't at this point, there's nothing that they've told us is factually provable. It's a theory. So if you accept their theory, then it makes him a good suspect. But that's it.
I want to clarify something. Since we talked about the subclavian, let me tell you what an AI answer is, and I don't want to fucking hear an argument about whether AI is full of shit or not. Just let me explain the answer.
Bullshit.
Three of the four victims were hit in the subclavian artery. Ethan Chapin, his subclavian artery and vein were severed, and his jugular as well. Maddie Mogan, the autopsy lists perforations of the subclavian artery and subclavian vein. Kaylee Gonzalez, autopsy lists perforations of the subclavian artery and vein. Xana didn't. So the answer is three: Ethan, Maddie, and Kaylee. And they said an interesting note. Yep.
Please hold for Sergeant Friday. Okay. It was because of AI told me only two that I changed it to correct myself. I've always been saying three. You guys know that, right? So you put me back on hold. Go on.
You got to pay your AI bill, Sarge. You got to go up.
So to finish the paragraph. To finish the paragraph, one interesting point is in early 2025. So this is gonna help you out, I think. In early 2025, police summary released emphasized the subclavian injuries only for Ethan and Kaylee. But later, more detailed autopsy material confirms Madison as well. So 2 was the number for a while, and then it was updated to 3.
Yeah.
And I was accurate in all my little ranting. And I think that provides modus operandi. That tells the story.
Yes. Yeah.
Because that vein is very that vein is left up because you will not bleed out like you normally would from a jugular vein or from an open chest wound. You bleed in. It's all internal bleeding. The blood, if you lose, no matter how much blood you lose, it stays in your cavity, your stomach area, your chest area. That's a wicked place to be stabbed, and it incapacitates your voice box. Your nerve, there's a nerve pack that wraps those veins. It shuts down your voice box. It shuts down the left part of your left lung and the left part of your heart. It's a very horrific.
Yeah,
wound. Very
and the fact
quick and
that right,
incapacitated.
and the fact that 3 of them had that,
Yeah,
you know,
thank
that
you.
an
I
injury
feel
there,
better.
it's definitely, yeah,
I
it's
feel
definitely
right again.
someone,
Yeah, you see,
someone
you
who,
were
someone who's
halfway.
definitely skilled,
Partly.
Yeah, right.
someone
To
skilled with a
know
knife.
that part of the body. Yeah, I mean, we all know a jugular vein will kill you, right?
Mhm.
There are certain things all of us commonly know, but
Right.
that's something I never even heard of in my entire life. And roughly 1% or so of stabbing victims have their subclavian vein and artery hit. And knife
And one
attack
can
is
argue
such a low
the one
percentage.
person, and one could argue the one person who didn't have the subclavian artery cut was Xana, and that could be because she walked in on it and it became a flail fight, and it wasn't as
Right.
precise as the other attacks.
Right.
So
And she ended up on her back, did she not? Obviously,
Yes.
she was found laying on her back, and so the guy straddled her. And you're very rarely going to hit a subclavian artery. You're going to hit the jugular vein and other veins, but not. You're not going to penetrate past the chest cavity that protects that area of your anatomy that easily. I don't care if you got a K-bar knife. You're not putting the K-bar in sideways to get between the ribs. You're going straight down. There you go.
So this is a depiction of where the subclavian artery is.
Yeah,
And it comes in right
Sound
behind
like-
the collarbone.
it's not like
Yeah.
an easy spot to get.
No.
Yeah, because
You gotta do
here's
it.
the collarbone. Here's the
Yeah.
collarbone, and so you have to get in right in this area of the neck.
And you got to go from 12 to 6 o'clock to hit it.
Right, straight down. Or,
Straight
yeah.
down from just behind the collarbone, that soft part of your neck. Ugh, that's just crazy. Anyway, I'm glad that cleared up. Because I said on my stream too, I apologize, it's 2, not 4. Or not 3, and now we're back to
No, yeah,
Now you're
3.
back to 3. Yeah.
I'm willing to change my view based on information, and I won't
That's the
argue
way we
I'm
all
right
should
or
be. Don't
Yeah.
get married to the truth. Just go for whatever the truth
Right.
is and shift with it when it goes there. Yeah.
Yeah, just don't, just believe the opposite of whatever Sly Ray says, and you should be good.
What did Amanda send me backstage? She sent me something about something tested in the house. What is she showing? Cover for me.
It's a
She was-
DNA.
She was sending something. I think
Index?
yeah.
I think the most interesting wound is the 4-inch deep, 3/4-inch surface, 1/2 inch at the base wounds. I mean, one of these experts were trying to claim it was an ice pick, but show me an ice pick that could put a 1/2 inch round or a 3/4 inch round wound into a
Yeah.
human body. You're not even doing
Right,
that.
yeah,
by
because
hand.
they're a more narrow instrument. They're not
Yeah, an ice pick is nothing. It's skinny as can be.
right. So that kind of diameter would
then-
yeah, an ice pick would not do the job, I
way.
don't believe.
A screwdriver wouldn't do that either.
No, they're not big enough.
No, 3/4 of an inch is about the diameter of a thumbnail,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what the surface wound showed. The base wound was a 1/2 inch thick and round. That's crazy. What the hell? What hit him? What hit Kaylee with that? Zana was hit with
Right.
that too, if I'm not mistaken. But AI might correct me. Go ahead, Devil.
That Xana was hit with in the
Zana
subclavian?
and Kaylee both received, from my recollections, a 3/4 inch by
Oh yeah.
4-inch deep, 3/4 at the surface, and a 1/2 inch inside the body, round. So 1/2 inch circular at the base of the wound, and the tip of the wound was 3/4. So it was a graduated weapon that went from narrower to thicker at the top. That's why I was putting out that halogen. That halogen would also account for the face damage done to poor Kaylee.
Yeah.
And I found that only because that Dylan mentioned firemen. That's such a weird wound. Try to find a weapon. Now, you've been a policeman for a long time. Have you ever heard of a circular wound 4 inches deep,
No.
roughly 3/4 of an
Not
inch in
like that.
diameter? How do you
No.
punch into a human body with that if you don't have something with a you would have to have like
Yeah.
a bat type of thing, right? We've seen those weapons back in the old days with the bats or the wood pieces. They got those ends on them that are, way back in the days of dungeons and shit. They had stuff like that with knights and. But what a really weird wound.
Well, or if you're a Walking Dead fan, Lucille, the bat that that Negan. If those of you who are Walking Dead fans, Negan carries a bat with like spikes on it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but those wounds to me are talking about what type of person was in there doing this. The subclavian and that round wound on the two victims that fought back. That's just to me that. And it, what
There's
is it?
another circular wound that is bothersome. It was the wounds, identical wounds that Maddie and Kaylee received that Whitcomb refers to as signature wounds. They received 2 identical throat slits post-mortem and 2 identical wounds on their shoulder, which I thought were circular in shape. But I'd have to remember if they were the circular ones. And I remember asking Whitcomb if they about whether they were created by something. He said, no, much smaller or something like that. So I can't remember what my guess was. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I like to talk with that guy.
In fact, we were the very first interview Whitcomb did
Yeah.
on the book. We got lucky enough
Yeah.
to be the very first person, and we got him for a 2-hour interview with me one-on-one, and then he came on with our panel and talked for like another 2 hours with us. So we had like a 4-hour interview with
Yeah.
I didn't know
Yeah.
how big time this stream was. Man, oh man.
Yeah.
I'm humbled.
And he's offered to come back, but I keep telling him I'm not sure I would have you back because you're not gonna you here's the, and I'm not busting his
No,
balls.
we have him back. Please have him back so I can ask.
Because I told, well, here's the thing. Let me make sure. So if I ever had him back, everybody has to. So here's the thing. I told Whitcomb, I said, I've been watching you with all the different people you're going on talking to, and one thing is clear: you're not going to talk about anything that's not already in your book.
I don't
But the
want to talk
questions-
about anything that's not in the book.
Right. So right. You're right. So here's the thing, Sarge. I'll tell you this. Whitcomb said he would come back, and where he wants us to all focus on is on the common areas. He's like,
And
you
I've
guys
done
are
a
missing
stream on
something.
that on Sunday.
Yeah.
Was it Sunday?
Yeah.
Did you see that stream? I didn't let anybody come up on panel. I did it myself.
I can't remember. I might have
I
watched
think
some
it was
of it.
yesterday.
Yeah.
I did a stream where I paid sole attention to the second floor. That's why I'm telling you, the order of death isn't accurate. And then I, like a lot of people say, Dylan's a liar, don't listen to her. And I absolutely will not take that advice. Even a broken clock is right twice a day. And not only that, the only data we have is what they've given us, right? And if you take what they've given us and try to make it make sense, you can't do it.
Yeah.
In the manner to which they accused Brian, you cannot make it fit. In so many ways, it's unconscionably amazing that how is all the DNA on the second common area, how is 99.9% of it mixed with Kaylee and Maddie when they were never down there? How did that happen? How did it get in all these weird spots? It hit not just the knee wall, it hit the front wall to the outside, it hit by the brass table, it hit the table, it hit over by the TV. I mean, how does that happen? What was this guy doing? Just flipping the knife around, putting on a ballerina show? What was going on? And why is it delusional?
I agree with you. But anytime any of this stuff gets brought up to Whitcomb or to Turvey, they fall back on, well, Kaylee and Maddie were killed in the bedroom, and Xana, and they died in the bedroom. But that may be true. Maybe they did. Maybe they did actually. They took their last breath in the bedroom, but that doesn't mean there was no attack on the second floor.
Well, there does. I'm going to say with this, I will accept the argument they were killed in the places where they were found.
Yeah, that's fine. But that doesn't mean right. But because when Whitcomb came, when we did the interview on the panel, my question to him was about Kaylee's blood on the beer pong table, and he didn't really. He kind of like skirted around it a bit. He didn't really answer.
Lana's show? You know what he did on Lana's show? He stopped and thought about a point that was made to him that he'd never heard before, and he admitted it.
The dog.
When Lana said, now Miss Potts came up with this, as far as I know, and I'm going to say, I always give her credit for the dog shaking. But when Lana said to him, could all this diluted cast-off have been caused by a dog shaking? He literally stopped.
Yep.
And thought and said, I never considered that. This is why I want to talk with Whitcomb. Because I think that if you go through and you really look at the blood on the second floor, I know it's telling us the order of incident in the top story. That third floor could not have been Kaylee and Maddie. It just couldn't have been. No more than the bottom floor could have been Xana and Ethan. The order of death is completely opposite. And in order to obtain that order of death, I suspect you had to have at least 2 people in each room. Not one person chasing people around the house like he was Casper the Friendly Ghost.
Yeah.
And left no tracks. So that's why I would like to talk to him. I think that's what he's been trying to tell us, that the second floor isn't going to tell you who did it, right?
He also
he's not going to tell you.
Well, there's a few things that he focuses on, but besides the table, he makes a big point. He loves the half wall on the other side, and we covered it. We covered it on our show, and it basically, like, we're not blood spatter experts, but the little I think that we do know, it looks like the cast off is going down. A bunch of that is Ethan's blood. It looks like it's going down the stairs, where one of the perpetrators or whatever went down out the front door, not out the sliding glass door of what the mainstream.
I
what
covered all this in the stream, and I showed that there's no mixture between Zana and Ethan's cast off. They're like you just stated.
Right.
They're unique to themselves. That's weird. And why is there no mixture? Why is there no mixture in the Zana and Ethan cast off with Kaylee and Maddie if the same weapon was used? You can't answer that question because it's unanswerable because the answer can only be different weapon, different mode of transfer.
Real quick, I know my wife's backstage. Check your phone. I sent you a message. I want you to answer the message, Rondo, while I'm on stream. All right. I just needed to get that out.
Anyway, that's why I would like to talk with Whitcomb, because I think Whitcomb can confirm or dispute the analysis that I've actually come up with, that I think makes more sense of that crime scene and shows unequivocally you couldn't do this with one person, no matter how much you want to think it was. It's impossible to come to that conclusion.
Not in that time period.
I'll tell you what I would like to do, Sarge. Here's what I tell you what I'd like to do. I'd like to see if we can schedule an offline meeting between my team and you, and we'll talk out a list of questions that we would ask him if we have him back. Because again, he's offered to come back, but I don't want to waste my time bringing him back if we don't have legitimate questions to ask. And I want to make sure that when I'm asking the questions, what he'll avoid and what he won't avoid. And so if we can get together and kind of brainstorm that, then we can bring him back and we can see if we can.
I'm on Discord and I've actually joined your server, but I don't know how. I'm friends with Dago, Luz, a whole bunch of people on Discord, but not any of you guys in here. I don't know. How do I find you on your own server? It's like general chat and stuff, right?
I know.
We're there. We're all in there.
You can leave
it. Give me my phone number privately if you'd like it backstage.
Yeah, let's do that. Can you put it? I love text.
I'll put it in the private chat
right
now.
Yeah, put it in the private chat, and then I'll text you when we get done. So yeah, I'd like, because again, I talked to Whitcomb not too long ago, and he was definitely willing to come back and talk to me. He's been nothing but kind to me, and I thought after he did all the rounds with everybody, he'd be done with me. But he said I'd absolutely come back, and then I told him the reasons why I haven't had him back. And like I said, I said tell me what I should be looking at, and he's like the common areas. Like go back, relook at the common area, and then we'll talk.
You should, if you got, I know we're creators of that, but you should listen to my stream where I cover that.
Yeah. Because
I do an in-depth discussion, and I do it a couple of ways. I take what Dylan said, and I present a scenario with Kaylee. That's why earlier I said, how did the murderer get by her if she's on the common area? How did the murderer enter that home through the sliding glass door and end upstairs before her? And the dog didn't notice a stranger coming in the home? How could that be? It's just not possible. That narrative can't fit. What if it was Zana? Then I did a dissertation on how, again, if Zana was coming out for her food, did she end up going upstairs and yelling, someone's here?
Yeah.
And then ended up in a bathroom whimpering with somebody saying, it's okay, I'm here to help. How could she have ran down there and the guy beat her there? Do you understand? It's okay, I'm here to help. How the hell did she get to the bathroom and there's someone there that there's already somebody there in that scenario of events? You can't argue that. It's inarguable that when she ran down that hallway, she encountered somebody. The idea that the person was chasing her from the second or the third floor down, we have no evidence of that. Dylan never said she heard people chasing people through the house. But whether she lies or not, the point is, there's more people inside this house than just BK. I think we all agree with that anyway. But the analysis of that second floor solidifies that view. That's what I think he's trying to show us. That what you're seeing there makes any other explanation fully impossible. And that's why I think Wickham keeps pushing us. Look at the common area. Look at the common area. So that's what I attempt to do in the stream. And I think I did a pretty good job of it, in all fairness.
Any other questions? Last questions? I'm trying to get an answer real quick from Rhonda, but I didn't get the answer I was expecting, so that's okay. But any last questions you guys want to cover before we wrap up? I'm going to send a message to you, Sarge, just to make sure our connection is good.
Yeah, I sent you I gave you the phone number in the private
Backstage,
chat.
yeah, I got that.
If you don't mind deleting it. Well, any of the three in here can, Robin, if you want to call and say hi, that's fine. I don't mind. If you want to call me on a warrant or some kind of, I'd rather you didn't. But for the steak, the dinner, 1-1, we can meet in the middle. Why not? What the hell? This is real life, but it's not. So you can make it partial good,
All right, just make sure that I'll. Did you get my text message I just sent you?
I'm looking now. Hang on 1 second. Somehow I'm thinking. Yep, I got you. I just replied back.
All right,
You can
sounds
add me
good.
if you want. Yeah, and then yeah, we're on Discord. Where all four of us could come up with questions for Whitcomb. Listen, even if you ran these by him and I had no interaction with the guy, I'm not trying to, build.
Well, yeah, no, I'm not
stream or
worried.
something,
Yeah, I'm not worried about that. I just want to make sure that if I'm going to ask him to come back, I got to make sure we have a real solid plan, and that it's that I don't already know the answer from his book and talking. Because keep in mind as well, I've had private conversations with Whitcomb, so I know certain things he won't talk about because I've talked to him about it offline. So I know where some of his boundaries are. So I need to make sure that when we bring him back, that it's not going to be a waste of our time, because I know he won't talk about that. So
right, and I believe it or not, I've heard a lot of bad things about the guy from people's opinions. I honestly have a lot of respect for him. He served our country in a way that it needed to be served, whether people agree with that or not. It's not for me to say, but the fact that he put his life on the line was all over the country in countries that nobody would want to go to today, right? Let alone back when this guy did it. I can't tell you how much respect I have for someone like that.
Yeah,
it's quite amazing.
He's been involved in a lot of stuff.
he's got a.
He's been around the block a bit.
He has been around the block. Yeah, he was at some of our nation's most interesting points in history as well.
I'm going to give you a link, if you don't mind, to that stream where I went over, and the stream was actually kind of addressed to him. Because I said, Christopher Whitcomb, Chapter 4, let's fix a few observations. Yeah. Because I think his observations aren't complete, or he's accepting at face value the statements the police make on entry and order of crime. He's just accepting that. And I don't think that what you see in that home, you can accept that argument. If one person couldn't do it, then the story they're telling us, none of it can be true. Fair enough?
Yeah.
So I did put a link back there if you guys want to. I didn't put it in your chat room or nothing. But.
Yeah. And like I said, I mean, Sergeant Freddy just ditched out, or we kicked him off. I'm not sure which one. That's okay. It was kind of abrupt. I think he probably accidentally hit a button that he didn't plan to.
He probably hit a button by accident
and then kicked himself off.
Yeah.
So with that, I think we're going to pretty much wrap up anyways. If he doesn't come back up, we'll talk to him again later. I just wanted to say thank you all. It's good to have you back 1-1 on the show. It was good to have Sergeant Freddy up here. Robin, thank you for those for the mods backstage that are helping out and doing all their stuff. Essie and Amanda for being there as always. And I feel like there's another mod I'm probably missing that we have. Who else was modding tonight?
Daenerys.
Daenerys, Troubled Ocean. I don't know. I don't think she's in tonight, but yeah.
I saw Troubled Ocean a little earlier.
Yeah, she was here earlier. Yeah.
Okay.
So thank you so much for watching tonight. And again, consider, if you're interested in the Manson story, checking out my Manson videos and my
don't forget Cat Farm. Don't forget Cat Farm.
Check out the videos.
Don't forget Cat Farm and all our music.
Yeah. Lots of stuff happening. We got a lot of stuff in the works. So, and maybe we'll get Whitcomb up here for another try. But again, like I said, I want our team to make sure that we have something unique that we can ask him, and that we know that he won't dodge not that I think he dodges questions, but I've gotten to know him enough to know where his boundaries are on certain things.
Yeah.
I've been fortunate enough to let. I've been fortunate enough to have Whitcomb tell me things he would never say in public. He would deny it to your face if I ever told you, and I won't tell you because that's not the kind of guy I am. But I've gotten fortunate enough to have him tell me some of his opinions that he won't say because it's too dangerous
Right.
to say those kind of things. So, anyways, so it's good stuff. So thank you all for coming for Crimes After Dark. We'll see you again tomorrow night, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 8 Eastern. And check out the other videos on both channels, the Beyond channel and the main channel. And we'll see you again tomorrow night. Thanks, everybody.
Good night.
Yeah.